Hot Springs Village Inside Out is a closer look at the greatness of Hot Springs Village, Arkansas, and the surrounding areas. People, places, experiences. Hot Springs Village is one of the most beautiful places on earth. Join me, Randy Cantrell, and my co-host, Dennis Simpson, as we engage in weekly conversations to explore Hot Springs Village Inside Out. Today's show is brought to you by Central Arkansas's favorite radio station, KVRE. Find them on the dial at 92.9 FM. Stream them live at kvre.com. RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village, the award-winning RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village, is the largest real estate office inside the village with over 30 full-time agents and support staff. Visit them to learn more about this beautiful place to solve your real estate needs. Call them today at 1-800-364-9007 or find them online at explorehsv.com. They are RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village at 1-800-364-9007 or online at explorehsv.com.
For Hot Springs Village Inside Out, it's Dennis Simpson with another episode of Hot Springs Village Inside Out. Unfortunately, Mr. Randy's not joining us today. He's under the weather. This midsummer weather is kind of getting to all of us, I think. It's been hot for a lot of days in a row and kind of warm. Today, we're not going to interview anybody. We're just going to talk about our favorite radio station, KVRE. These are some of the greatest people you'll ever meet. And I realize I'm reaching out to people on a podcast and on YouTube and on our website. And a lot of people see this, but you may not get the flair. You may not get the full impact, I guess, of the village unless you listen to the radio station. Let me break it down for you. KVRE stands for Village Radio Entertainment. It's owned by the Caddo Broadcasting Company, which technically is Polly and Tom Nichols, who are primarily the owners, and their daughter is the general manager, which is Alice Nichols Bates. We love them all. These are people who are fixtures of Arkansas radio and have been here for literally dozens and dozens and dozens of years. I'll tell you my association and how I work with them here in just a minute. But the bottom line is that KVRE signs on, let's take a Monday morning at 6 o'clock. It comes what we call off the satellite. It has a Great American Playlist music by Westwood One in California. They get that off the satellite, but at 6 o'clock, Tracy Simpson. Tracy Simpson is a local. He's a Native American here. He's from Oklahoma and here in Arkansas. He's been in Hot Springs since he was that tall and is a fantastic guy. Great radio talent. Actually did a lot of acting. Handsome, good-looking guy like all us Simpsons. Yeah. And truly just a wonderful guy. Tracy has one of the most unique programs you will hear on radio today. And I say that because in one of our recent shows, we were talking with Bill Wythe, and I talked about, I had to explain to my wife, Diane, what payola was. And we lose track of that so much of what you hear on the radio is predetermined and purchased and packaged for you. You fit this particular demographic, you're this age, you're this mindset, you're this religious and social denomination. And because of that, you're going to hear this. And we've got this lined up for you because we know what appeals to you. We don't care if we like it or not. It's just what we know is going to sell to you. That's not Tracy. Tracy will play Lady Gaga right back beside Willie Nelson, by the way, with whom he had a water company at one time. And if you want more information on Tracy, we did an episode on him, coming up on 9 months ago. So just look back for Tracy, Tracy, no E, Tracy Simpson, and KVRE, and you'll hear his whole story. He was an actor in Dallas. He had other big time radio stations in Dallas, came back home to work on his farm and work with his horses here. He does a program during the Oaklawn season called Track Talk, where he has his picks for the day. But from 6 to 10, Tracy plays freeform music, freeform radio. And if you know anything about radio, as I was a kid, I would listen under the covers with my little AM radio to WOAI, San Antonio, 760. And I always thought how remarkable it was that signal got from San Antonio to Benton, Arkansas. How did it do that? And then I realized as we got older, now today with internet, everybody assumes that the entire world is interconnected, and they are, but it's not always been that way. And since radio was kind of, for me, a stepping stone to understand technology and to understand the world and see a different light, I would actually listen to Texas radio stations to predict the weather for what was going to happen. I could tell you if it was raining in Dallas in another 8 to 10 hours, it would be raining in Arkansas. And all that to say that radio has played a huge part of my life. And it did for Tracy too. I'm interested to tell you this next part because this will tell you how intergenerational all this is. Tracy's been, I guess, I don't know, I'd have to ask him. I think he's been back here 25, 30 years. He's been involved in several businesses, has a lot of other opportunities. Extremely talented guy. Anyway, he's from 6 to 10, and he always says it this way. You'll know when he does it. Streaming live, KVRE 92.9. Streaming live, not streaming dead, streaming live. And I tease him about that, of course. But at exactly 10 o'clock, it's 10 o'clock. That's exactly how he'll say it. I'm really good. Maybe we Simpsons know how to mock, make fun. I don't know, copy each other. At 10:05, Mr. Tom Nichols comes on, who has been broadcasting, as if I'm not mistaken, for 51 years. Tom has a 1-hour program called Ask Your Neighbor. Ask Your Neighbor. It's not political. It's not religious. It's not medical. He doesn't talk about those things, but he'll talk about recipes. He'll talk about weather. He'll talk about what was your first car you ever had? What was a mistake you wish nobody knew about? What was a thing you would have done different had you? Basically just questions about life, and we just discuss it out loud. A delightful man with an unbelievable, and I mean this, an unbelievably sharp mind. Tom will recall things from downtown Hot Springs from 58, 60 years ago, and will tell you the color the person's dress was wearing. He'll tell you who was on what side of the street. He'll tell you the radio station history. They actually, he started in Hot Springs, and I don't want to slaughter his history because I don't want to get into that. But he started in Hot Springs. I will do this. I think it was Williams Furniture Company. It was KWFC, K for the west of the Mississippi, WFC, Williams Furniture Company. And they broadcast out of the Malco. He did that for years and years and years, moved around a lot, actually got what's called Quixie, K-I-X-I, I believe. Don't quote me, in Glenwood, not far from here. And while he was running that, and doing that, he was actually a on-screen weatherman when Hot Springs had a TV station, and he was the weather guy. Wonderful weather guy. Extremely capable, has a rich history that is beyond our understanding. Well, Polly came to the village and was able to get a little bitty 5,000 watt antenna license and started KVRE, which stands for Village Radio Entertainment. And she actually got a little townhouse here and lived here a while. Then they finally sold Quixie in Glenwood and then came here and have been here, I know, for the last 25, 30 years. And they're fixtures of the community. They're wonderful. Tom's show is one of the highest rated. It sounds fantastic. People love it. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's Scotty Mack, who's the production director also, and a DJ, and has been a voice in Arkansas radio for 49 years, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Polly Nichols, Tom's wife, who has been on the radio easily 35 to 40 years. I don't even know. And they do an all request hour. Now, you mentioned, if you'll recall, I talked about a Freeform Radio, and that is, where you can call in and they'll play anything, and they will play anything. It'll be from Old Dominion to Lady Gaga, as I mentioned, to Flip Wilson, to Little Richard. They obviously want to play the classics, so that's that's their baby and their genre. But I'll call in a funny song from Donnie Brewer, who's the trop rock king in the southern parts of the Gulf states. And he has a song I truly love called I'm a Professional Drinker. Yeah, that's what I do well, and there's just a lot of fun. And they had an expose, actually, this is middle July that we're recording this. And they had an expose on them last Sunday in the Hot Springs Sentinel. And Scotty put it as simply as he could, and he's correct. He said, we treat our listeners like family. So I'm telling you all those details and telling you what programs we have during the week. At 4:00 on Sundays, we have the 40s at 4 with John Chapman. When I came here some 22 years ago, everything on the radio was big band, Count Basie, swing, Lawrence Welk, all that kind of stuff. Well, that's been kind of relegated down to 1 hour a week, but it's a very highly rated show. And John Chapman, who fills in for Tracy sometimes, does that program on the weekends, and it's wonderful. 8:00 on Saturday and Sunday morning, Mac at the Rack, which is Scotty Mac's rock and roll show, which the music is just great. It's timeless. There's never a song he plays that you don't go, boy, I love that song. Every one of them are hits, and every one of them they're fun. It's just as simple as it gets. Now, I've told you all about KVRE. KVRE is a Class C radio station, and as a Class C radio station, it has a footprint of about 25,000 watts. That's not the full 75 miles that Class A stations, maybe if you're living in a big city or listening to me in a major metropolitan area. Class A is typically 50,000 or even 100,000 watts, and they will broadcast up to 75 miles. That's why, take note here, that's why one radio station on one frequency, say 92.9, there will not be for 75 miles, typically 150 miles is what it figures out to. There will not be another radio station. If that's 92.9, there's not going to be anybody at 92.7 or 91.1 for 150 miles, because they would step on top of themselves. They would step on top of each other. So all that said, there's an isolation system whereby you only broadcast on these frequencies for this many miles. I'll do a shout out for Theodore, as Alice likes to call him, Ted. Ted's the engineer who is exceptional. I've never heard a greater radio station footprint terrestrially, or a 25,000 watt station that goes from Hot Springs, 58 miles into Little Rock. It goes to Mena. Nearly to Mena. Tremendous footprint. Great. The tower's not incredibly high, but anyway, he does a great job at that. I've actually been in Conway. I was in Lone Oak and listening to a KVRE. Remarkable. But if you're not inside that Little Rock metropolitan footprint area, what do? You can go on your phone to kvre.com or your PC, kvre.com. That's Kevin Village Radio Entertainment.com. And as you go there, at the very top of the page, it'll say listen live. As you click on the listen live button, you can do this on your smartphone or on your PC or your laptop or any tablet, any device, any electronic device that has web access. You can go and listen. And where it's going to take you, it'll take you to a place called Tuned In, TUNEDIN, Tuned In. And you can go to tunedin.com. You don't have to download the app. You can just hit play and it'll just start playing. Also, Tuned In is tied into Siri, Alexa, and Google. So it's as simple as, okay, Google, play KVRE, and it will pick up KVRE, start playing it on the Tuned In program if you have that loaded. Or here we go. My Google's trying to do it right now. Okay, Google, stop. Or, hey, Siri, play KVRE. Or, hey, Alexa, play KVRE. Now, a lot of times you hear people say, well, pull up or go to, or no. Alexa, Siri, and Google don't understand that. You have to specifically say play KVRE. If there's any question, you can say play KVRE 92.9, and it will automatically start playing. That's all that's required. Enjoy. After 2:30 or after 4, when things go back to the satellite, or if you want early morning listening before 6, The satellite Westwood network is absolutely great. There's wonderful music. It's great production qualities. It's very relaxing. It's not going to be metalhead jamming, acid rock, and it's not going to be whang dangy country, and it's not going to be rap. It's just nice music. It's just great music to listen to. So as if I haven't told you enough, listen to KVRE. They're our friends. They have been a media sponsor for nearly a year now. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people. When you see our webpage and you see our listings, our new shows come out, every one of them is listed at the KVRE Facebook page. Every one of them is listed with KVRE. They know who we are. We know who they are, and we appreciate their sponsorship and their business relationship. Wonderful, wonderful people. We have on deck, we have Scotty Mack has agreed to be on the show, who is the DJ and the production manager there. And we're going to go circle back around and grab Miss Alice at who's the general manager. And she actually does some other programs. She has Tom and Alice in the mornings, numerous other spots. You'll hear her all the time. She does the weather a lot too. Anyway, for Dennis Simpson and Randy Cantrell, who will join us next time. Hot Springs Village Inside Out. We will see you next time.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Hot Springs Village Inside Out, a podcast where Hot Springs Village, Arkansas is the star. Please subscribe to the podcast. You can do that by visiting our website, hsvinsideout.com, and tell a friend.